So thank you for coming here. I wanna, before starting, I'm gonna warn you guys a little bit. So I'm totally out of my mind today. You wanna know why? I lost my wallet last night. So I'm like, I don't even know how I'm gonna eat tonight. Just kidding. Take me out for dinner. Yeah, so totally running to the police station, writing, just going through a little bit of, so I'm a bit out, but hopefully I won't disappoint you. Yeah, shit happens, Yeah. So before I start, I like to kind of get an idea about the audience. So like where you guys are in stage of your startup, whether you started or not. So can you raise hands? Anyone like are there any serial entrepreneurs here who's already done it many times? Okay, there's one, two. Okay, cool. There's few. And then how about like startup guys who's like quite advanced, making a lot of profit, and then you accelerated already, has a lot of traction. Yeah. Well, how about like people who are running startups right now? Okay. Okay. And then what about, can I assume everyone else is aspiring like entrepreneurs? Yeah. Can I? Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to speak a little bit about me because, every day I'm hustling, right? So basically I'm going to share my story, how I hustle and do this thing, it's, everybody has their own ways. So I'll share my story, take what you can, and then, but it's not the holy grail. You have to understand, we all have our own ways, right? So there's no like bulletproof silver bullet to make it. So this is how this is the old slide deck. That's okay. No, I gave her the new one. No, okay, that's okay, don't worry. We'll do this. This is how I started. So okay, I know what the slide's supposed to be before this, so I'll talk about it. So I'm a global citizen. Why I consider I'm a global citizen? Because I was born in Sri Lanka. I went to up to high school in Sri Lanka, and then I went to US. And then that was in '94. I went to US. So I did computer science. I graduated, and then I went to Silicon Valley. Worked in the .com. It was the .com boom. So lived that life, and then until 2011, I was primarily living in US, and then moved back permanently to Sri Lanka. So I've been almost half of my life there, half life here. So that's why I consider a global citizen. So this is how, when I was going to college and high school, I used to buy these used car stereos for about $2 or $3 from a used car spare parts dealer near my house. I would take them to the college and I would sell them for about $30, $40 to the rich kids. So those, look at the profit margins, do the math. That's how I was about 16, 17. And then when I was in college, I used to deliver printer paper to the computer labs. I wake up at 5:30 in the morning, 0 degrees, frozen, freezing cold. I ride my bike, go there, and then take the golf cart full of printing papers and deliver the paper to the labs before they open 6:30. So I graduated, went to the Silicon Valley, worked in the during the .com boom. Who knows what this means? Is there anyone who knows what this image means? Okay, so I'm the oldest guy here, I guess. So this is .com age. they spent 20 million advertising pets.com. So this is if you Google pets.com puppet or sock puppet, you'll read the story. I mean, they were selling online pet food. They were making very little, but they had like a 20 million marketing budget. They burn it. And this guy used to say irrational exuberance. That's what he was referring. That's why. And then, when doing the .com thing, you know, I joined a .com and then sold that off to a CBS Sports line and then joined corporate world. So I was the black sheep there. I didn't fit in. I have so many stories. I almost got fired so many times. So it didn't work out. I actually got let go in 2002 from the company, and my boss said, "I don't know why I didn't fire you earlier," when he did that. So I moved to Sri Lanka then. I moved to Sri Lanka after I lost my job, and at the same time, you know, I was trying different startups in Silicon Valley. I tried to outsource to India and Sri Lanka, and I failed. So when I came there, first thing I did was I started my own engineering firm there. So the pain points I had sending work from Silicon Valley to Sri Lanka, I wanted to fix those. So I hired 2 people. I thought I'm going to take over entire Sri Lankan market and, you know, all that. But it took me 4 years really to bring my nose out of the water, you know, come out of the water and start breathing. I'll share that story in a bit. I have a few slides in the future later. So what I'll do is now, what do you guys think, I mean, when it comes to hustling, what does it mean? So do whatever it takes, this gentleman says. Any other definitions, ideas? Okay, very good. Resourcefulness, excellent. Yes, okay, taking every opportunity. Resilience, yes. I think it's everything. So that's why, I mean, hustling to me is like when in your mind, lots of images that you see on the internet, it's like hustling is selling. Yes, it is selling, but you could have something to sell. You could have that great product or something to sell. So it's that whole thing is hustling in my world. So I'll talk you through it a bit. So the characteristics of a great entrepreneur. I mean, the commitment, perseverance. You know, if you don't, I did this for 4 years. When I got laid off, so I was under the, I had this unemployment insurance. I had a kid. It's just, there were days that there were months, we've done, $300 coding for clients for the whole month. That's all we've done. There were months we even had nothing, but I could have given up. My wife was telling me to go interview with Google or whatnot and let's go back. But I kind of didn't want to give up. At times I was too arrogant because everybody thought I shouldn't be doing what I was doing. So I don't know how the culture in Malaysia is. But in Sri Lanka, there's huge family pressure. Is it the same here? Like, especially ladies, girls, they have this auntie network in Sri Lanka, okay? Is it the same? And they come and ask, why aren't you getting a teaching job, getting married, have a kid, get a job, you can, all that. Is it same? Same, roughly? Yeah. Okay. So don't listen to them. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so the auntie network is everywhere, I guess. Okay? Yeah. It's Asian, is it? Yeah. Yeah, and then so that's why. I mean, they thought I was arrogant, because I didn't listen. I mean, I don't think so. I didn't think so. I think I was doing the right thing. So that's where, I mean, I'll go into mentors later on, and then I'll come back to this subject. Attention to important details. So it doesn't mean you give attention to everything and drag your product or something. But there are important details that you have to give very attention, like lots of attention. You could, this day and age, there's so many startups, so many people wanting to launch products. You only get one chance in front of one user, and if that user doesn't like it, the chance of them trying again, giving you another chance is low, right? So that first impression, the initial, has to be quite good. It has to be sticky. That's what I mean by that. And then the cultural barriers, other than the auntie network. You guys have to tell me whether it's here too. I think it is. So I worked all my life in US. When I came back to Sri Lanka, I was almost a foreigner because I never worked there. I went to high school there, but I didn't have any working experience. So when I started working, so I came, oh wow, I'm going to give everybody flex time. It's like open culture, blah, blah, blah. People start coming at 11 and go home at 2, and then I'm like, so that happened. And then the other part was sort of like they had this mindset, if it's 80% good, it's done. It's like, you know, that completion, or if it's working for me, or if it's 80% completed, it's completed. Yeah. I don't know how you guys think. Yeah, I mean, so those are the cultural barriers that we had. Like, when you sell, you know, sometimes you don't want major bugs or anything, you know. So work-life balance. The other part, so when you run a startup, you are hustling, right? So what's your definition of a vacation? Working from home. He says working from home. Yeah. Okay. Any other definitions? What is it? Exactly. So that's what a lot of people say, right? So if you define vacation as no phone, no connectivity, I haven't had a vacation for 14 years. Okay. But in my definition, I go on vacation every year for a month. For me, like, I work every day. Regardless of the holiday or whatever, because I have someone, I'm talking to somebody somewhere in the world, right? So I have to work. I have no choice. So how do I balance that? I don't. So when I said I go on vacation for a month, so what I do is, I mean, I love traveling, love it. I enjoy traveling so much, but that every day, if I spend 2-3 hours working, I'm good. So what I do is, I cook the dinner when we are camping for the kids, and then put them to bed, and then, okay, so here's the story. So once we went to camping in Death Valley. It's like the middle of nowhere. It's like, it's probably, I don't like size-wise, probably the size of Malaysia. The western part of Malaysia is the whole desert, right? So before going there, I Googled for Wi-Fi hotspots. So I barbecued for kids, just sleeping. I got on the car, started driving, looking for Wi-Fi. So it's like finding water in the desert, you know? So, and then I work for 2 hours, check my email, because it's only like being a startup entrepreneur. You could miss one email, and that could be that turning point. you can't delay replying because you're on vacation. I never said autoresponders. Never. Because I respond every day to important emails. So my vacations are working vacations. So my family is very supportive. They understand. Some days I go home early. Some days I stay home. Some days I don't go home. You know, it just depends on the work. So they're used to it. So that works for me because my wife understands that. My kids, you know. So somehow it's part of my life. It's hey. So being mixing work life is part of my life, you know. So this is the day my son was born. So right here, my wife is like about to deliver the baby, but yeah. Well, and then, of course, they took her to the theater and all, and I followed her. But I also had a delivery. So we both delivered that day. So, I mean, my one and only programmer I had that time quit because there was so much pressure on him because client was pressuring and so much changes. So I had to do the coding, so I did that. And so that was like the biggest deal I got that time. This is 2003. $15,000 project. That was huge. We were doing like 300, 500, 600, 2,000 maximum projects. And that was like a big company. And, you know, I had to do it. So we did it. So that was actually one of the turning points in my company. If I said, oh, I'm having a baby, I can't deliver, I don't know what would have happened, you know. So we balanced. Did we? Really? I don't know. And then this happened. So Sri Lanka, you know, we had a massive war. So without getting political, that war affected everybody in the country. I was pestering this client, prospective client, for almost a year to sign up with us. So this CTO, Silicon Valley's company, said only for him, offshoring or outsourcing a project means sending work from California to Nevada. That's like the next state. I'm trying to bring it all the way from San Francisco to Colombo, right? So for him, it's like, no. But I kept on going, and then we also offered like a free pilot, and then he bought into that, so we over-delivered. So that 3 months free pilot, very successful. He said we did better than his in-house engineers. And then he said, okay, I'll come over. I'll interview 10 people and hire. I was like, I had like 2 people at that time, okay? So I'm like, sure. So we scheduled a ton of interviews. He lands in Colombo. He's coming from Colombo airport to his hotel. He passed halfway, boom, bomb explodes. 5 minutes after he passed that one part of the town. And he comes to his hotel, boom, another bomb explodes. So that's like right by his hotel. So he was like, he calls me and says, my wife just called me. She wants me to take the next flight back home. I'm like, shit, what do I do? I call all the candidates. Lucky for me, his next flight was in 24 hours. So we brought everybody that was supposed to be interviewed within a week into that hotel lobby. There's a coffee shop. We ran all the interviews within like that day, 8 hours, drinking coffee. And then he said, let me go home and talk to my CEO and come back to me. And then he did. He's like, oh, you know, if you were to do, we have to have a war clause. I'm like, sure. You had to open a backup office, ready to open office in like somewhere else. If war breaks out, I'm like, sure, we're ready. I wasn't, okay? And then all that, and then he signed. And today, he's my largest customer. We do millions of dollars of work with them. We build applications that been launched, used by many global multi-billion-dollar corporations that I'm not even allowed to talk about. So we build a successful relationship, really, that kind of, so that's hustling to me. I don't even know, I mean, so in Sri Lanka, when we look at, so when we talk to these new startups, we share these experiences. There's no war now, so it's kind of, we're like, you don't even know what problems are, we tell them, you know, because of all this. So what kind of founder does it take to take technology companies to succeed? So I tell my guys when I go to work, you know, it's not a popularity contest. You can't make everybody happy. That's what I mean by that, because sometimes the decisions we make are not the most popular, but you gotta do it. Your focus is your company, and for your company means your employees, your customers, and your shareholders. So for me, I care about all three. So employees are very important. The customers are important. And then the shareholders. So you take one pillar out, and then it collapses. So when you make a decision, I make decisions based on all three. And then, you know, there are sometimes hard choices. So I told you, like, I started initially, and then all these problems, people coming 11 and leaving at 2 and all that, because I started with the Silicon Valley mindset. I'm like, oh, I'm going to come to Sri Lanka and start this Silicon Valley DNA company. I got, I don't want to use the word, I want to use it, okay? So you know what I mean. So I actually had to lay off a few people, which wasn't fun. So I started all new. That time I've been more adapted to the local culture. So ability to take risk, and you got to be all in. That what I mean by that. Sometimes, like when I was doing that, if I had like a plan B, I probably would have given up. That's what I mean by all in. I had no plan B. So I believe in, like, rather than thinking of plan B, plan well. Before you start jumping, before you take the leap. So let's say you're doing a job and you're thinking about starting a startup. Then you could think, okay, what are my responsibilities? Am I really passionate about it? How long are you gonna stay excited about it, you know? Is it just temporary excitement that you're not committed? How painful it is to solve all that? And of course the finances. It's really your baby. You gotta make sure that you can have, like, if you have dependents, that you can feed them and all that, place to live. I know here you have lots of support, grants and whatnot, so it's probably easier than Sri Lankan ecosystem. I've been doing this for 14 years now. I'm still ultra lean. The way we run, it's very, you know, it's lean business is how I run the show. I highly recommend you guys to read the book about it. It's basically you budget your product if you're developing a product, and then cut it in half, because there'll be so many unexpected things. If you think you want to spend 1 million, plan to build it within using $500,000, because you're going to need that other $500,000 for lots of unexpected things. And of course, whatever you do, work every day, whatever, but have fun. That's very important. Otherwise, you're not going to enjoy the journey. You got to enjoy the journey. back to mentors. I told you about the auntie network, right? So, you know, we're Asians, right? So we listen to our parents. Don't take business advice from them. Please. They're not your mentors. Go find people who've done it before, who don't necessarily worry for you. I mean, your mom doesn't want you to fail. So the advice she's going to give you is like low risk. Everything is low risk. You got to take risk. Your mom doesn't want you to take risk. That's my, I mean, there could be parents that who want you to take risk, but typically that's the case. They don't want you to take risk. That's why I'm against making them, having them giving you business advice. So find someone from the industry. Academics. So they're very good for theory and all that. I hope there are no academics that I'm going to insult here. But, listen to people who've done it. Learn from the experience. That's, yeah. I hope, you guys, some of you probably heard this before, read this before, but I'll quickly say how, when you building a startup, you're not gonna get it immediately, instantly. So you're gonna have to iterate many times, learn from, and then, learn from what you've done, mistakes, all that. If you go after that, when I said earlier, it's important to pick what you want to perfect. So it's not like you can't perfect everything and launch. You got to launch something, and so you can't have that perfection immediately. It's going to take time. Also, if you're afraid of failing, don't even start thinking of startup. This culture thing, like some of us, like in Asian cultures, we like to hoard into our ideas and our things, and I'm like, I'm not gonna talk to anybody because they're all gonna copy, right? No, ideas worth really nothing unless you execute and make $1 million business. So I really encourage open dialogue, openness, building that ecosystem, help each other, you are the ones that who's going to help each other. So that's, in Silicon Valley, that's where really we go into these meetups, we talk about it openly, and then I get lots of ideas from others. When I go and tell somebody, hey, I'm working on this product and this is what I do, immediately they're like, oh, why don't you do this? Why don't I'm like, wow, I didn't even think of that. So that's the kind of culture. I don't know how it is here. Same. Or not? What do you think? Sharing and all? Yeah. Yeah, I think, it's the same in Colombo. So we encourage people to talk more. It's an uphill battle because of these cultural, educational, and whatever the problems. But as an ecosystem, if you are looking at as to uplift the whole ecosystem, you're going to have to be open with each other and support each other. So scaling. So when you say scaling, what does it mean to you guys? Expanding, like how? What? Let's say you have something, and then what is it like? Selling millions overnight, or okay, very good. So in some of my startups, some of my products, scaling means adding just one customer at a time. Sometimes it just, that's how you get a, I believe in having one satisfied customer than having 100 customers who are not satisfied. Because that customer is going to go and sell to 2 more, and then that's going to help. eBay effect. And then the the other thing is like do yourself what you need to do. Someone said about hustling. So the resources and all. So like Airbnb, when they first launched, you know how they went to these apartments, they took pictures themselves, the founders, and posted it. That's how they got the content up on their site. Pebble, when they first built their Pebble watch, the engineers who designed and all did the assembly because they didn't have money to hire a company to manufacture. They assembled it themselves and sold the first 100. When I was starting, I remember going under the tables, doing the network wiring to setting up routers. I clean the windows, do whatever it takes. Now this is the other one, make hires. This is one thing like I really think for a company, extremely important, having the right employees, especially the founding employees and early on. If you have the wrong employees, that could kill a startup, a business. I may sound like a bad guy, but I share a story. So I hire people who all-rounders. I don't look for specific knowledge, vertical knowledges or anything. Also, I don't define job very narrowly because when you are running a startup, you got to do anything, whatever it takes, right? So I had this sysadmin. We were moving from one office to another. That day, bunch of routers, switches, Wi-Fi gadgets were on the ceiling. So I asked him to take it off. He's like, that's not my job. That's desktop support. So I got the ladder. I went up there. I got the job done. And then before I did two things while I was up there. I got the job done and then I fired him before coming down. So yeah, I mean, that's very important that you have the right team that who's willing to work with you to achieve your goals. Last one. I really like that. Let me explain to you. So when you have a product, let's say you have a product that's that can be used for agencies, which that one of my products is sold as agency software right now for agency management called Thrively.io. So what we do is we launch it initially as an agency management software. So we gain customers. That's a vertical, right? So we can, I'm sure there are hundreds of thousands of agencies around the world. We could try to exponentially grow within that vertical. But you know what we decide? We decide to grow, instead of going like vertical, we decide to grow horizontal. So we launch it to agencies, and then we look at same software could be used by architects because it's just similar professional projects, right? So we launch it to them, and then next one we are going after law firms, things like that. And then so we are scaling, growing, but sort of outward. This is again in a company, you can't do everything, so you have to have a team that take the responsibility. And then also individual, like when you take like, when I say responsibility is like, we don't go and micromanage everyone else, make sure everyone does their job. So if someone doesn't do it, everyone else kind of don't like it, and then so we don't, like in the high school, we don't go look, are you doing your job? No, we don't do that. But we built a responsible team. Because like in like some parts of the world, maybe it doesn't matter. But I know in Asia sometimes this matters. There could be slackers trying to hide, so we encourage the other team members to make sure everybody does the job. Oh, this is, and then when you're a founder and when you're really successful, it's really great feeling, you have a good company, good team, and don't, I never advocate thinking like you are a big deal, because it's that team that helps you to come to where you are. Become you, you didn't build it alone, even though you are the founder, right? So you need a team that you can delegate things. So that's when it liberates you. So when I go on vacations and all, I'm going mountain biking, I'm going snowboarding, going in Taman Nagara, done that 3 months ago. I'm still making money because I have that team. I've delegated things. Engine is going kitching, you know. So that's what I'm after. It's not about me. It's about that company sustaining. You know how I learned that? Remember that company I told you that TO came and bombs exploded and all that? So after we being very successful, one day, the CEO told me, you know, Mangala, our biggest risk, you. Because I was like the only person interfacing with them. I was totally taking care of them, all that. But we don't know how your company is gonna survive. You fly back and forth too many times, so much between US and Sri Lanka, knock on wood, but we don't know what's gonna happen if you disappear. So that's got me thinking, and then I built that secondary level team. So these, I mean, this is pretty standard stuff, but I mean, if you Google growth hacking, there's a lot about how to sell, if it's an online product, etc. So what you need to do if you are selling a product, especially a product, how do you, let's say your product can go to millions of users. Are you going to initially right away target million users? I think the way to do is, okay, you target 100 and then see how it is and get their feedback and get them to refer, and then maybe next time you target 1,000. Or maybe if it's based on lead generation, you target the number of leads okay, within next 30 days, I'm going to generate 150 leads. That's your goal. Things like that. And then you measure all that, be creative with your marketing. You do A/B testing, improve. Do you guys know what is A/B testing? Okay. A/B testing is like, say you're doing a campaign, you do like 2 different campaigns and see what works. So you have one homepage for a week and another homepage for another week, and see the conversions from homepage A versus homepage B. So you have to track all that, and then you have to measure all that. That's a very high-level example of A/B testing. Services is different when you're selling. Like I said, having 1 satisfied customer is better than 100. Another way, early on, I have very good relationship with some of these customers who didn't even want to give us work. You know how I done? So I said, so we wanted a new website design, this great designer who worked for Anheuser-Busch, PayPal, Netflix, all these companies. I knew he has very good access to great companies. So I wanted to build a relationship with him, but he wasn't ready to give us any work. So I said, I'll build a product free for you. All you have to do is design my website. So it's even, I didn't lose anything, but I managed to convince him to give me work. And then it's not free. So he didn't have a lot to lose other than his time. And I knew if I deliver right, well, then we build the confidence, right? And then he's going to give us more work for money. That's exactly what happened. And then, of course, successful pilot projects, etc. So this is where we started in 2002 in Colombo. That's literally 3 tables, just PCs connected to a switch. So this is after I lost my job from Silicon Valley. What's that? Yeah, that's me. That's 2002. Okay. See, I told you I had a goatee that time. So this is the building we had our office. This is where we are today. That's the tech park we are in. And this is the team. And we have climbing walls. That's my team there. So today, so there's another slide that's missing. So today we are Gartner recognized. If you read last year's Gartner Asia Pac report, there were only 4 Sri Lankan companies that's mentioned. I'm so proud to say we are one of them. We are the smallest Gartner recognized Sri Lankan company ever in terms of size, employees, profit, everything, top line revenue, everything. So it's a very proud moment. I'm very proud about it. And then the clients that I can mention, there are a lot more that I'm not allowed to mention, but we work with Stanford Business School. We've done an e-learning system. Westfield shopping malls, they have about 100 shopping malls around the world. So we work for them, Cisco, some of the clients that we work with. And then there's Agilent and all that. So, it took me 14 years. So we hustle all this time. I'll open it up for some questions. We got about 10 minutes. And please, love questions, tough ones. Yes. Okay, so when it comes to A/B testing, I mean, what we do is, I mean, I have a really good growth hacker. So every time he does something, and then we figure out, but sometimes it's a video, sometimes it's a different video, sometimes it's no video, and then sometimes even like the Facebook ad, if you put a Facebook ad, some of them we make it so controversial. And then the other one, we make it like very salesy. And another one, but controversy works. So, I mean, there are a lot of examples if you look at what controversy does to marketing. Get to people like, I went to a trade show last week in San Francisco. I had a huge banner, very controversial banner, that brought people to our booth. So that works. I don't know if I answered your question. Yeah. Please, any more? Oh, yeah. I have a step of my own, right? And I feel that whenever I'm with my kids, I be at 100%. I don't want to think about work or anything. How about you? How do you? I love that question because I'm so related to that. I have a daughter. She calls me after she comes out of school. She goes, "Daddy, are you coming home today?" Then you just want to shut everything down and go home. So it's a very tough one. I said I don't have life. Work-life balance, but you got to do that. You got to go home for your kid, right? So I do. Some days I just around 4 o'clock I just bail and go home, and then I'm with them till they go to bed, and then get back on it. So that few hours is what you get. Yeah. And then I work late, and then I have a wife who takes care of them in the morning so I can sleep in. Yeah.
Indirectly, I think
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. So, I completely agree. So, as a woman entrepreneur, with a mother, and then father has to do support that too. I mean, it's a teamwork. So I've been very lucky. So my team, my wife, I mean, when I started, so when we first, I was convincing that CTO, the pilot project, they gave a project. Guess who was doing the QA for me? Quality assurance. It was my wife. So, I mean, she's been behind, I mean, it's we together, we built this. So she did the QA and she account managed at that time because I couldn't afford anybody. And then, you know, when we can hire people, we hired. I completely agree. So if my wife were to start a business, I tell her, but she doesn't want to. No, but yeah, I mean, I hope husbands do support.
One thing is that one thing that we did, so I know how engineer way of thinking now. Sometimes because I'm an entrepreneur, sometimes my husband, they are more on working side, right? We are more like an entrepreneur. Sometimes we get a lot of support from our own, what we call lead husband or lead wife, or it takes from our family.
Yeah. So now I don't know, maybe Magic staff can answer this. Do you guys have like a female entrepreneur support thing here? Well, in Sri Lanka, we have one. So we started that. Just two things. What we are doing there is, I think my time is running out. So what we've done was two things. So that to do the noise cancellation of that auntie network. So we've done a opposite noise. So we bring in these successful female entrepreneurs and generate huge noise. So it cancels out that negative noise. That's one. So it keeps them a little bit of, you know, otherwise you only hear negative thing. And then, of course, educating the better halves to support that. Yeah. But it's, I hope, do you have time? Yeah, I think we are out of time. I'll talk to you after that, okay? Thanks, guys.